Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Devil May Cry Season 1, Episode 3. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So the opening has us learning a little bit about Mary's backstory, obviously get introduced to her mom and her dad, which, to my recollection, obviously, I don't think you ever got to really know her mom at all. So because of that element, you're just like, obviously there's a lot to Mary's story we don't know. Because her hatred for demons runs deep. As we see, as a kid, she read about demons, saw them in movies, but it didn't seem like she was fully aware that demons exist. But it's just it's a thing as a child she latched onto from what was believed to be fiction and now ended up being reality. But because I thought it was going to go down the way it did when that demon attacked her mom and her dad. But her mom rushes over to protect Mary, but luckily the demon gets hit by the train. I was like, oh, good. But I was like, oh, so she's still alive. And that's why I'm like, well, Mary dislikes demons and wants to protect the world from them because she kind of felt that was her calling from a young age. But that hatred for demons, that full-blown hatred, interesting, because I was going to touch on it too. It's kind of interesting how she has a deep... I touched on it actually a little bit when I said, she has a similar hatred for demons just like Dante does. As we know, Dante has a very particular reason for hating demons because they killed his mom and his brother. But it's Mary's dad and mom are still alive to our understanding. So it's interesting. But it's I guess what I'm thinking of in that story must happen later on. But I don't remember 3 ever got into the specifics of things. I think it's just kind of you talk generally about this happened in Lady's life. I've not played 3 in a very, very, very long time. So I don't fully remember some of Lady's backstory. But I was maybe they got into specifics, but I don't think so. Once again, this is kind of doing its own thing, taking what was already there and tweaking and twisting things a little bit. So, but obviously, it's interesting too because her obsessions with demons and wanting to kill them. Her dad was obsessed with them too because he tried telling the police about what he saw. But this is a point where even to present day, even with everything going on, the general public doesn't know about demons. It's not a well-known thing. So it's still kind of this fringe thing in society. And so he got laughed out of the precinct and he became obsessed with it. Work fell apart because he was a theoretical scientist. I believe that was kind of what he was. I don't think it had anything necessarily to do with demons directly, but I think after finding out, I think it was just, once he found out demons are real, it changed everything. And he tried to tell people they were real, but everyone laughed him out of it. He seemed like a crackpot. And so his obsession was about kind of preparing humanity, about fighting against the darkness, which I think is ironic. That whole storyline with her dad made me go the thing I was thinking about the White Rabbit, could that be going down a different route? Could that be the twist that 3 has? That I'm is that what that is? Maybe? I don't know. It could just as easily be they are doing 3, but like I said, they're twisting it in that regard. So if you know 3's story about the Jester character, I don't even remember if that character had a name, what that character situation ended up being. I'm curious if that's what they're just substituting that for the White Rabbit. I don't even know if I remember talking about that during the trailer discussion or not. But that's what I'm wondering if that's the route they're going with that. Because my immediate thought was, I said, I thought it was oh, is it Virgil? But then I'm no. In the grand scheme of things, especially when you see its chest, White Rabbit's chest later, I'm I don't remember if that was the Jester character circumstances. Once again, I'm beating around the bush of everything about it, but I'm was that a part of that thing's constitution? Or, like I said, we could be going a completely different route. Once again, they keep at a lot of aspects of Mary's past. They give you a taste without giving you the full course meal of understanding her, her life and stuff. So, but yeah, they're transporting Dante and Enzo, and it's isn't this against the Geneva Code? It's that only counts for humans. Enzo's I'm a human. She's the UN might make an exception. It's Jesus Christ. A lot of overreach and a lot of messed up stuff you're doing. Once again, even what you're doing not last episode, but episode 1 when it came to the Demon Hunters, I had talked about that at the time. So, but I love Dante being he kept referencing his buckle to Enzo, and Enzo's I don't know what you're talking about. He had to kick him. Look at my boot, you idiot. Oh, okay, cool. I got you. Just you idiot, Enzo. But anyway, was it Baines, the vice president, which I really want to quickly talk something I noticed. I don't think this was last episode, but I definitely noticed it this episode. I was kind of thinking, I was like, his voice sounds a little different, and it's because there are two voice actors. There's a different voice actor. Also, because like some of it sounded like Kevin Conroy, but other bits sounded different. I was like, interesting. It's because it is a different voice actor. If you've ever seen Kite Man, hell yeah. Even if you haven't, there's kind of a similar situation in that boat where Lance Reddick voiced Lex Luthor in that series, but obviously that was done before Lance Reddick passed away. But like, he's in quite a bit of the season, but I think the last 2 episodes, it's not Lance Reddick, because I guess those were done like after he had passed away. So yeah, it seems like the same thing here, because I talked about it. I was like, oh man, because I would have thought like, I would assume like most voiceover work would be done when most of the animation is done, not all of it. But I guess if you have a rough enough idea and this is early enough in the process, they probably went back, changed and shifted some stuff. So maybe they needed more extra lines. We'll see whether Kevin's name continues to pop up, because who knows like how much of his role he ended up voicing ahead of time. But you'd assume that's well after the fact that you get the voiceover work done. But I mean, once again, I'm not well versed in the production of animated stuff. So maybe it just depends on the project. And like I said, it depends on if they have enough of the animatics already done. Maybe they could get some of the voice work done early enough and then come back in, add bits and stuff later on when stuff gets shifted, changed, or stuff like that. It was just something I wanted to kind of note. But either way, he wants to talk to Dante, and he's just kind of telling him about his situation. It's like, yeah, you're definitely a part demon, but the fact is, even with that stain on your soul, you're not too far away from the light. And obviously Lady is like, no, well, Mary is like, no, he's a demon scum, we should kill him. It's like, yes, your determination is your strength, but it also blinds you. God wouldn't have put him on our path if he couldn't be useful to us. And in those moments, Baines looks very maniac. Like a maniac, sorry. I don't know why I said it weird like that, but he was looking like a maniac, being like, yeah. Because and moments like this made me go like, yeah, it feels kind of zealot-ish. Sounds like some Devil May Cry 4 stuff to some extent. So, but yeah, that's where they kind of disagree on this, because Mary's like, screw all demons, and then Bane's kind of like, well, he can be useful, especially with his abilities and stuff. Despite everything, Dante's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I'm not a demon. And it's like, oh, your mom and brother were killed by one. And it's like, and even Mary's like, yada, 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 dead parents, yada, yada, like your situation's special. Which I thought was kind of very interesting coming from her character. Like I said, depending on if they've really tweaked her story or not. But it's also like, yeah, your story isn't common. I mean, your story isn't rare. It's common enough. Probably like a lot of people in this unit of Dark Calm have probably gone through that. That's probably why she was so dismissive of it. And regardless of his situation being half human, half demon, it doesn't matter, because you're still demon. There's still demon blood running through your veins. So. And then you also have the Anders situation, which plays into, I was like, right. I was like, no one was super suspicious of him being like, yeah, I'm here, I want to join. I'm like, home dude seemed off. We also saw, like, I forgot to talk about it last episode. He showed a picture of his children, him wanting to go home, and then him paying attention to that device that Lady did to it's part of the vehicle where it's like pulls out these things that flamethrowers, also can yank Dante back on like the device that's kind of got him shackled. And him paying attention to it, I'm like, oh, he's definitely working for White Rabbit. Like, if there was any room for doubt, that's completely gone now. He's just looking for his opportunity. And the moment he got to the bridge and he focused on that one cop, I was like, why him? I was like, how do you know he's a demon? But it's like, we find out later on, it's like, oh, the shapeshifter. To be fair, it's like, I guess he knew it. They planned it out and probably told him exactly like, okay, the shapeshifter will be this particular person. Maybe there's will be certain little details that'll tell you it's this person. So they're caught up in traffic, but they find themselves in the middle of a trap. Building explodes, separates the Dark Comm squad. Rocket launcher comes in, blowing stuff up. I love that Lady immediately goes to her team to make sure they're okay, but sees Dante and Enzo, doesn't care about them one bit, because it's like, well, because in her mind it's like, Enzo's a demon sympathizer, so screw him. He associates himself with demons, so whatever happens. I mean, it's also like, I guess they weren't necessarily in any immediate danger, and if anything happens to Dante, she could care less. But the demons pop up, and this kind of goes into what I was talking about. Literal just brought it up last episode. The plant lady from DMC4 popped up. The twin demons, one being fire, the other one being wind. Which I had to immediately go like, wait, one ice? But then I was like, no, I'm confusing that with Cerberus. Because I was like, right, the three... oh God, what was it? Was it Tonfa? It wasn't Tonfa's. It was like a 3-piece nunchuck. But yeah, I was like, yeah, Cerberus was the ice one, but it's like, yeah, wind and fire. But those twins, and the other one, the dark one with wings, I'm like, oh my God, I don't remember what you're from. I was like, I think you're from like, I was like, that's not the same one from like, he's not from 5, is he? I don't remember. Cause I'm like, there's a horse riding demon in 5. I don't remember if he had wings or not. He might. I feel like it's scratching apart my brain. I'm like, is that from 5? Because I'm like, I feel like it's definitely not from 4. It's like, maybe it's from 3. Like I said, 3, 2, and even 1 are ones I don't remember all that much. Probably the main one from 1 I remember is like the tarantula, the giant flaming lava spider. He's the one I remember the most from 1. Like I said, I don't really remember any from 2. But I'd probably say like, yeah, it feels like something from 5, but I could be mistaken. So, and I think the shapeshifter demon is new to this series. An original for this series, but I could be mistaken. But yeah, I mean, Lady's holding her own. Obviously, she's just got her pistols, but like they end up finding out too that the bullets also don't work on a rabbit, as one of the people says like the demons are mutating, so they would have to probably like account for that mutation and to try and make stronger bullets. But it's like, yeah, so. The demons are getting hurt, but it's kind of like Dante, where it's like, oh, I'm hurt, but I'm gonna recover from this. Like, you need a lot more potent bullets and like anti-demon stuff to like really put a dent in them. We get the reveal about Anders. It turns out the reason why he betrayed them is because his daughters were kidnapped. So it's like, I need to do this, even if it means dooming the world in the process. But the rabbit's going on and on about like, oh, like true freedom and stuff like that. You'll get to witness it, as he says just before he ends up stabbing the doc in his stomach. I was like, poor. I'm surprised he didn't have a line of, or you would if you were living long enough. But he tried to like throw a grenade at him, and the rabbit knocked it back. So the doc kind of blew himself up. So I was like, poor bastard, because he was the one going on and on and on about. Because one of the members of Darkcom was like, oh, why don't we just... I think it's King. He was like, oh, why don't we just destroy the amulet? And it's like, nah, we can't do that. Basically, the status of everything as it is keeping everything in balance. Who's to say, like, if you destroy it, it doesn't completely destroy that balance and the wall comes tumbling down? But he's also coming from a scientist's perspective of, oh, all that we can learn. It's like, yeah, that's where you start getting into that territory of a no-no territory as a scientist of, you shouldn't cross those lines because you don't know what you're messing with. But it's kind of a moot point at this time. Would they have been better off destroying that amulet? Probably, maybe not. Either way. Well, I said amulets, but the amulet that they had. Anders has still not been revealed because the only person that knows the truth is the doc, and he's dead. And him and the rabbit set it up to make it seem like, oh yeah, we got to make this look good, so stabbed him and left him alive. So, I mean, to kind of get back, he kind of ended up like letting Dante free, which I love that whole sequence. But really quickly, it isn't just Anders. We also have, I don't know if that's well, it seems like it's a demon. It's not just a, it's so ironic because it's like, yeah, someone near the vice president is a demon, but it's like, right, with everything going on, you're not going to pay as much attention to, and I guess some demons are better at the whole pretending to be human than others. I mean, it's interesting to go. We found out with the shapeshifter, he's like, I swear there was some other shapeshifter that had a similar thing. It's like, my shapeshifting is a mirror situation, meaning like, I need the person I'm shapeshifting into to still be alive. If you're not alive, I can't turn into you. So it's not like I need your DNA active and I need living DNA to mimic it. So like I need you to stay alive if I want to keep your form. So I was like, oh, that's an interesting little detail about his it's not just like I just look at you and copied it and I could kill you. It's like, no, I need to keep you alive. So I thought that was kind of an interesting But I swear I remember something else using a similar form of like shape shifting of like you need the person to be alive because like I said, you're a copy of them in that regard. Um, Either way, Dante got rebellion, protects a school bus of kids as the rocket launcher goes towards them, but then he chases after the rabbit as it bounces with the other demons, and on the highway, high speed chase, taking down demons. Once again, little winks and nod as like he goes up against the fire and wind demon as they like have their swords combine and try to attack Dante. He grabs it and utilizes it, throws it at the plant lady. Don't know if she's dead or just knocked down. And the others, like he ends up, the twin demons, he ends up beating them with a bike. And I love them when he jumps up and he's swinging. They're like, he's so cool. But it's also like, if I remember correctly, and someone has to correct me, isn't one of Dante's weapons in 5 a motorcycle? I swear it can transform into a motorcycle. It might be a motorcycle. I think I remember him just being able to kind of break it apart and like have like a wheel, a part of the bike. It's like a handle and a giant wheel in one hand and then the other. I think, if I'm not making it up, I want to say, because like that definitely feels like a 5 weapon, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was, but that's what immediately sparked in my head. Who knows if they meant to do that? Oh yeah. Also, I'm going to backtrack a little bit because there was something important. I'm glad I remembered this. I love that like Dante's like this whole situation is like the second worst job that he's ever gotten, and Enzo was like, oh, worse than that Raccoon City job. And he's like, all right, third worst. I was like, oh my god. I was like, shut up. And then obviously you got the little Mega Man figure at the front. I was like, oh, that's great. I mean, there's deeper layers to like the Resident Evil joke because originally Devil May Cry was going to be like a Resident Evil game, but then like they shifted it into what it eventually became. So that's kind of funny. But I'm also curious. I'm like, well, I was about to say it's like it's a little easier to do that when those are, you know, obviously Mega Man and Resident Evil being Capcom products. At first I was like, are you going to make any reference to Shin Megami Tensei? Because if you don't know, Dante is a playable character. Like there's a little story thing with Dante in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. So I was wondering if they make reference to that, but I was like, no, that's not a Capcom thing. That's an Atlas thing. So that'd probably be a whole rights thing if you wanted to kind of even make. I mean, it'd be more complicated if you wanted to kind of nudge that direction. But I just thought the Raccoon City thing, I'm like, ooh, so Raccoon City existed in its continuity. Maybe it didn't go down the route of traditional Raccoon City in of Resident Evil, but it's just kind of interesting. Just kind of a fun thing, obviously, but it's like when you think about the deeper implications. So it's like, well, once again, it's not going to be a zombie thing, but maybe there was some form of a zombie thing, but it was contained and it didn't turn into a worldwide breakout. It's just kind of interesting to be like, oh yeah, Devil May Cry and Resident Evil take place in the same universe. That's not what they're saying. It's meant to be an homage, a wink and a nudge, but like I said, the implications are just really interesting when you think about it. But also, before the doc died, he had told the rabbit, because the rabbit was like, because he was like, why haven't you just utilized, you've got the sword, you got the ambulance, why haven't you done anything? But he has the keys to it all, but he doesn't have the decoder key to it all, and that being Dante, because it's not just having Sparta's blood. It's like he needs something to awaken in Dante. Like Dante has taken advantage of, inadvertently and subconsciously taken advantage of the demon blood in him, but it hasn't really risen to the surface, and you see it come out more and more as he's chasing down the white rabbit, as his eyes are chasing down a white rabbit. Alice in Wonderland. I didn't even think about that until just now. But his eyes are glowing more and more red. It's about pushing him to he like activates his devil side, and usually going to be in the form of his devil trigger. So, but before he could even do that, he got outside of the mile radius of like he can't get. I thought he couldn't get too far away from that vehicle, but it was like I guess like he can't get a mile away from Lady, because she has like the device connected. So maybe as long as he's like a mile away from Lady. But then, like, just as he's about to get to the white rabbit, boom. And this might be the most effed up we've ever seen Dante. Because obviously he's been run through the gambit of, like, blades being stabbed, impaled, going through the gambit of what's happened to him. But this is the first time we've ever seen like Dante suffer like a head injury, because like it blew up in his neck and like half his face is going. I was like, ugh. We've never seen Dante like that go. So we've never really seen how far his healing factor can go. He's going to be fine, obviously. Probably if you destroyed his entire brain, sure. I doubt he'd have Deadpool levels of healing factor, but it's like, right, we've never really pushed it how far like that healing factor can and would go. But yeah, the rabbit's talking about like, oh, I'm just going to have to push you a little further. I need you to kind of give into that devil inside of you more, as the son of Sparta. So that's what the final piece to all of this is. Like, Dante has to awaken. And obviously, your protagonist kind of entering that state where they awaken your devil trigger situation. Obviously, there's different points. Every hero, whether it's a Dante, whether it's a Nero, gets to that point in their like respective stories. So regardless, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. Obviously, Lady and them are probably going to come and retrieve Dante. So maybe some of those conversations, I was like wondering like, oh, what's that going to look like? This episode, maybe we're going to have the next episode. I mean, granted, now that that's blown up, I guess Dante doesn't have to worry about it anymore, which is also sucky. Well, I mean, I guess it's a blessing and a curse, because it's like, well, if Dante did what he wanted to do in that moment, he would have just been playing right into the rabbit's hand. So I guess Lady, it benefited him that Lady did what she did. But right, I'd assume it's out of his system now, so not unless you track him down and re-inject him. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that works. She was assuming like, yeah, even he would kind of suffer, having his head blown up. But it's like, well, once again, he does suffer. He's in pain, but he's still alive, and he's going to come out okay. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us with this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.